Yesterday, a far leftist entered Joel Osteen's church with a rifle that had Free Palestine written on it, opened fire on the churchgoers. Fortunately, I believe from the reports right now, nobody has died. However, a child who was with the far leftist was critically injured, and a man was shot in the leg. We've got breaking news on this, so I'll just give it to you straight from the Post-Millennial. Joel Osteen church shooter, identified as Janesse Moreno, also went by Jeffrey. The individual who walked into Joel Osteen's Lakewood, Texas church on Sunday, pulled out a gun and opened fire, has been identified as Janesse Ivan Moreno, 36. Moreno, wearing a trench coat, opened fire when entering the church along with a 5-year-old child. Local news reports that multiple sources have said that Janesse is suspected of being the armed woman who was killed at the church Sunday. Reports indicated that the shooter was female, but Moreno may have been male. Moreno was shot and killed by 2 off-duty officers. Moreno's weapon was emblazoned with the slogan, Free Palestine. Jeremy Rogalski of KHOU-TV further reported that Moreno had prior arrests for assault, forgery, marijuana possession, theft, evading, and unlawful carrying a weapon. They say Moreno also identified as Jeffrey Escalante. So I don't know. There's numerous reports saying it was a female shooter. No idea. There's a distinction, obviously, between female and male. However, often when it comes to the corporate press, they will use female interchangeably with men and women interchangeably, and we don't know. Janesse Moreno went by Jeffrey Escalante Moreno, among other aliases, and was from El Salvador. The child Moreno brought to the church was shot and injured. The child remains in critical condition in a local hospital. A 57-year-old man was also shot in the leg and taken to a hospital for treatment. Authorities searched a home in Conroe that is believed to be associated with the shooter. Moreno openly discussed a love of firearms, and posted about cleaning an AR, showing off the weapons as well. I'm assuming they had an AR-15. Is that pulled out a gun? Okay, but what is it? The AR is the question. It had Free Palestine written on it, they're reporting. But I think it's an important distinction whether or not this person had the AR-15. Here are photos. Moreno also posted about giving money to Osteen's church and indicated that Moreno had attended and was part of that church. So here we can see some various photos of the individual. However, I think it's safe to say the individual is likely a female, may have been a trans man, I'm not sure. Osteen spoke about the shooting, saying there are forces of evil, but the forces that are for us, the forces of God, are stronger than that. So let's see. This is the story. Child in critical condition, female suspect down after shooting at Joel Osteen's Lakewood church in Texas. We have this from the Daily Mail. We have more information here. The woman entered the Houston church with a 5-year-old just before 2 p.m., began shooting. There was an engagement. So I believe the shooter may actually have had a handgun. I'm not sure, but let's read and see if we can get some more information here. Because I thought it was an AR-15 because I've been reading it, but I think I may have misunderstood, and it was just that they'd posted a photo of it. They say the female shooter who opened fire on Sunday had a Free Palestine message written on her weapon. The footage captured the horrifying seconds after a woman in a trench coat shot up the Houston megachurch of the celebrity pastor. Images from the scene show the chaotic moments. Terrified congregants run to safety after several shots are being fired. I think this is probably a female. I think the initial reports are probably correct. It was a female, likely identifying as Jeffrey as a trans man. And I don't know what the issue may be, but we saw this with the trans shooter it was Nashville, I believe, also a trans man. Perhaps it has something to do with the testosterone. Police Chief Troy Finner said it was not clear whether the young child was struck by the officers who had responded, who returned fire, or Finner. Finner added a 57-year-old man. No, I'm sorry. Finner was the chief guy, or the I'm forgetting the name of the Moreno. Not Finner. Chief Finner said that the woman began shooting. Both officers engaged her, and the woman was killed. He praised the officers for quickly confronting the woman, adding she had a long gun, and it could have been a lot worse. Okay, so it was likely an AR-15. Right, makes sense. I don't know why they were mixing that. I'm pretty sure that's what I read when I was reading this, and I got confused. The shooting happened between services at the megachurch that is regularly attended by 45,000 people every week, making it the 3rd largest megachurch in the U.S. According to the Hartford Institute For religion research, Osteen's televised sermons reach about 100 countries. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I don't know. What do you guys think about his sermons? Have you guys seen them? Because I hear a lot of criticism that they're like corporatized religion, but that's pretty amazing. It was not clear where Osteen was at the time, but he joined police at a news conference afterwards and said the church is devastated. But he added that the shooting could have been much worse if it had happened during the larger 11 a.m. service. He added he would pray for the victims and for the woman who did the shooting and their families. We're going to stay strong, and we're going to continue to move forward, Osteen said after authorities spoke. There are forces of evil, but the forces that are for us, for the forces of God, are stronger than that. So we're going to keep going strong and just, doing what God's called us to do. I'm curious, if it's true that this individual was a part of the church. What motivated this? However, based on the Free Palestine message, I have to imagine this was not a person who was a member of this church. And if so, probably being reported strangely or incorrectly, seems like this individual had far left tendencies, was targeting the church. But again, don't know for sure. We'll have to see. Greg Abbott has issued a response. Our hearts are with those impacted by today's tragic shooting in Houston. Places of worship are sacred. I've spoken with Mayor Whitmire and offered the full support of Texas to bring this criminal to justice. Join Cecilia and me in praying for the Lakewood church community. So, considering that the individual is no longer living, I guess you can call that justice. Christina Rodriguez, who was inside the church, told Houston television station KTRK that she started screaming, "There's a shooter, there's a shooter." And then she and others ran to the backside of a library inside the building and stood in a stairway before they were told it's safe to leave. Police stood outside the building as authorities evacuated the church. Officials later announced a reunification center had been set up for people to find their loved ones at a nearby fitness center. Witness Paula Laverde said, "So there was one shot first, and then there was a set of shots, and then we started running. And then there were multiple sets of shots. I can't really count them. It was at least 5 times that they shot multiple times." Longtime church member Alan Guidi, whose family is from Honduras, said he was resting inside the church's sanctuary before 2 p.m. service as his mother was working as an usher when he heard gunshots. Boom, 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 and I yelled, "Mom," he said. The 35-year-old ran to his mother, and they both laid flat on the floor and prayed as the gunfire continued. They remained there for about 5 minutes until someone told them it was safe to evacuate. Outside, Guidi said, I don't know how to pronounce it. He and his mother tried to calm people down by worshiping and singing in Spanish. Move in me, touch my mind and my heart, move within me, Holy Spirit. It seems like, however, aside from the child who was brought in with the shooter, it's just one person who got struck in the leg. Guidi was among the many congregation members who waited Sunday evening to be allowed to return to their vehicles as police continued to search the building. The church is located in what used to be an arena where the NBA Houston Rockets used to play years ago. The church said in a statement, "There's an active situation involving shots fired at Lakewood. Law enforcement is on the scene. That is all the information we have at the time." Now, the Daily Mail has definitively reported this as a trans gunman, a gun woman. So I'm not sure. The Daily Mail, this is where it's very, very difficult to understand. And this is why we have to have proper language. The Daily Mail always uses preferred pronouns and calls trans people by their preferred titles. That means if there's a male who is trans, they would say a woman or trans woman. The fact that they're saying a trans gun woman implies this individual is biologically male. However, it's been reported that the individual is biologically female. So I don't know what to tell you. We can't get accurate information on this. This is the state of the world that we are in. They say at least 20 police and fire trucks were near one of the church's entrances Sunday afternoon, including the fire department's hazardous materials truck. Finder said that it was reported the woman had a bomb, but no explosives were found when her vehicle and backpack were searched. Worshippers could be seen leaving the building as authorities evacuated the church before the news conference. Officials announced a reunification center. This we had read already. Let's see. The shooter was absolutely hellbent on killing as many people as possible. This is from one of the commenters. The situation is about as terrifying as shootings get. It's nothing short of a miracle that the number of innocent people aren't dead, that a number aren't dead. I mean, that is kind of amazing. I mean, as I'm reading the story and hearing that they had a long gun and were opening fire into the crowd, it is quite remarkable to me to hear the story that very few people, that only one individual was actually struck. And it's surprising there's not more casualties and deaths. I think a lot of people are going to have a religious awakening, I suppose. They're in church. A mass shooter comes in with far leftist ideology and only manages to injure one person. That is very fortunate. I don't know if you call that a miracle, but, figuratively, colloquially, it's a miracle that nobody was seriously injured or killed. Unfortunately, the child was critically injured, but we don't know that it seems to be, it may have been the officers returning fire which struck the child, but the child was with the shooter. So to everybody, I'm glad to hear everyone's okay. We'll get more information on this later, but I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.